Hey best friend, hey best friend, hey best friend, hey best friend, hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to y'all's favorite story time. I hope you guys came here prepared with your wine and your snacks. Me, however, I am on my water kick, okay? I really am. I'm doing better and I'm really focusing on my water consumption. Hold on. I inadvertently got into a fight because of this other girl, but honestly, like, it really wasn't her fault, but it definitely was her fault, but it was a little complicated. So, semantics. Now, when my mom moved me here to Colorado, she honestly wanted a better life for me because some of my family, like, there was just like a lot of drama and a lot of mess happening with my family. Like, we have a huge, humongous family, and there was just a lot of shit going on. And my mom was like, y'all doing too much. Y'all are doing too much. And she packed my ass up with my little poodle, and we came here to Colorado. She actually had a friend that lived here in Colorado. Now, he was just a friend. He definitely had a thing for my mother, and he was very upfront about it. But my mom was like, I'm not playing that. Like, I don't have time for that right now. Like, absolutely motherfucking not. Like, either you help me or you don't. Crazy timeout. Hold up. Because in my last story time, I talked about this place called Big Spring, Texas, where I was living for a little while. And I have to tell you guys about that story because it was an experience. I'm shocked at how many of you guys either know about Big Spring or lived there, because I'm just like, wow. You guys, whoever lived there, we may have gone to the same elementary school, because like there wasn't a whole lot out there. So the reason why we lived over there is because of this same guy. So I had known him, you guys, since I was like, oh my God, 6 or 7 years old. And our families were like old family friends, So he ended up moving here to Colorado. When my mom started expressing an interest in moving here, he was like first in line to be like, I'll help you. So of course, when we came here, he met up with us and he started showing us the lay of the land and kind of getting us acclimated to being here and, doing that whole transition thing. Now, he did have his entire family here, which we knew. I knew his parents pretty well. Like, they were older. They were like, grandma and grandpa age. And they were always very, very nice to me. And I remembered them from when I was little. And the only other person that I really remembered was his niece. We will call her Rachel, okay? So I knew his niece, Rachel. She was, I think, like a year and a half younger than me. And we used to play when we were little girls. And then we lost touch for years. And all of a sudden, we're reuniting. And it was kind of awkward, but, it was also kind of a relief because it was just like one person that I semi knew when moving here. Because he had his entire family here, everything that they did, they would involve us in. And so any events that they went to, like, where they were going, what they were doing, we were a part of it. All of a sudden, I'm seeing Rachel on an everyday basis, or like I would spend the night at her house all the time. And she also was like giving me the lay of the land and like, what it was like living here. And because she too was from Dallas. My mom ends up connecting with her mom, which is his sister, right? And I'm not really going to give him a name because he really doesn't have a point in the story, but she connects with her and was like, where does Rachel go to school? So, they do the mom talk or whatever. And my mom ends up getting me enrolled at Rachel's school because she wants me to start out 8th grade at least knowing somebody. We go back to school shopping together. We go clothes shopping together. Like, we pick out our first day outfits together. And she's going into the 7th grade and I'm going into the 8th grade. And I'm so nervous. Now, let me tell you a little something about Rachel. Rachel was drop dead gorgeous. When I tell you, like, gorgeous, she was one of those girls that, like, whenever she walked into a room, everybody could not help but stare. Like, everything about her was beautiful. Her hair, her skin, her body, her smile, like, her personality. And she was hella athletic. She was on the basketball team. Like, she was just everything that I wish that I could be as far as, like, confidence. And she just, I don't know, man. Like, she just had this fucking vibe about her where she didn't come off as bitchy or anything, but she was definitely somebody that I looked up to, even though she was younger than me. Like, she was taller than me. She just seemed a lot more mature than me. And I'm over here coming from Dallas as a book nerd, y'all. Like, I'm so fucking quiet. I'm such an introvert. And I'm meeting this person and I'm like, oh my God, like, you are boss, wow. I felt a lot better knowing that I was going to school with Rachel because she was very popular, because she was very beautiful and she, was involved and stuff like that. So I felt like I had an N. So fast forward, so I'm really excited. And then the night before we had our first day of school, we were having dinner together and Rachel was talking to me about what to expect at school. So she starts giving me all the tea, bitch. And she's like, okay, well, now that I know that you're going to come to my school, I just want to let you know that, like, there have been fights that happen at my school. And I was like, Okay, like that's not a big deal. You know, I've been to schools over there in Dallas where it's the same thing. You know, I'm not a stranger to a fight, but like, what you mean? And she was like, I mean, like, I'm talking about like on an everyday basis. Like it's kind of like what my school is known for, and I just don't want you to like be alarmed. She was like, all you have to do is just like mind your business, you know, like even if you see somebody fighting, don't try to jump in it. Like don't have nothing to say. She was like, don't even look over there. I mean it. Like it's a lot of drama, it's a lot of mess. She only knows so much. Like she doesn't know the 8th graders that I'm about to go in there with, but she was like, you know, these are the girls that I would not be friends with. I already have experience with them, like da da da. So she's laying out the whole map, okay? And I really appreciated her for it. So the next day, I felt a little bit prepared. Rachel and Rachel's mom came to pick me up from my house, and they drove me to school because I wanted to walk in the school with Rachel because I was like fucking nervous. So we get there, and Rachel was like, okay, like that's your hallway, and like that's where you're gonna be, and I gotta go this way, and I'll meet you here after school. So we had a deal to meet up after school, and then we had to walk to a rec center, and then her mom would pick us up from that rec center. Remember what I told you? Just fucking mind your business. And I was like, okay, like whatever. I really thought that she was blowing this shit out of proportion. So normal, schnormal, like first day of school, nobody fucking wants to be there. You know, you got everybody trying to dress their cutest or whatever. And you know, I didn't really make any friends that first day. Like everybody really did mind their own business, and either you had your friend group already or you didn't. So I tried to be friendly, but I was just still being really quiet, you know, and I was honestly just observing everything. Like how do people here act, like, you know, how do I fit in type of shit. So I did a lot of observatory work the first few days. We start getting to know each other, and people start, you know, being interested in the fact that this is my first year in Colorado, and you know, they're like telling me what to expect and like Denver Broncos and you know, all that other shit, right? So I start making friends. They were all surface friends. And then we had like, I guess you would call it a recess. I don't know, like right after lunch, we would go out into this big field and like, you know, just shoot the shit. There wasn't a whole lot to do out there, but all of us kids were out there at the same time for, you know, 15-20 minutes. The surface friends that I made, you know, I would hang out with them during, you know, that field time, and then, you know, go on with the rest of my day. I met up with Rachel. We go to the rec center. We actually had to stay at the rec center for quite a while. And Rachel, like, y'all, she knew she was pretty. Like, honestly, she knew she was pretty. And she would, like, go to the rec center. And I would sit there and watch her. And we'd be at the rec center. And she would immediately go into the basketball courts with all of the high school dudes. She would go in there and start playing with them. And, like, yeah, she was pulling hard, okay? Like, she was doing the damn thing. Rachel and I didn't really hang out together unless, like, we were at her house. Like, we just kind of were different in that way. I don't know. I think I was too nerdy for her. So fast forward, I noticed that this girl had pretty much all of her classes with me, and she was very quiet. And not only was she quiet, nobody else was talking to her. Then I started noticing that, like, when teachers would call on her, you know, to answer a question or whatever, like other kids would start like snickering and like like this bitch, and like they had something to say. You could tell that they were like murmuring about this girl. Y'all, I know what the fuck it feels like to be outcasted, and I know what the fuck it feels like to like be treated like that. So it immediately, I set my sights on this girl, and I was like, yo, like, why y'all fucking treating her like that? I was like, what the fuck? And I obviously didn't say that, but now I'm interested in like getting to know her and what's up with her and like, you know, her story. Somehow, some way, she and I end up talking, and I'm gonna name her Samantha, okay? We end up talking one day during class, and she tells me her name, and she's actually, you know, born and raised here in Colorado. And, you know, she's very nice. She's very sweet. She's very calm. And she was just like, I don't know, like, there were no red flags about her. And immediately we start being friends, and I like start looking forward to seeing her every day, and she's kind of becoming like my everyday school best friend, you know what I mean? Where you go to all your classes together, and like, you know, like you lunch together, you sit together at lunch, and you start going out to the fields together, whatever. Like the first or second day that I started like sitting with her at lunch and stuff, I started noticing like I was getting dirty ass looks from other girls, and I had never had an issue with anybody up until this point, but I noticed that, and I was like, what the fuck? And like they would make it so obvious where like they would walk by us and they would be like, oh my god, another fucking bitch, like, you know, another one, or, you know, look at these bitches. And all of a sudden I was a part of that, and like, fuck, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck did I do to you? Like, I'm new, like I could not possibly have an issue with anybody, like what the fuck. At one point Samantha sees me being really confused by this and like this reaction from people, and she was like, oh, and she said it, she was like, it's because you're hanging out with me. And I was like, what? And I, you know, I'm confused, and I'm like, what do you mean? And she was like, yeah, you know, not a lot of people like me here, and, you know, I just kind of, she was like, I come because I have to. And I was like, well, yeah, we all have to. And she goes, no, like, I have to, or I'm gonna lose my home. And I was like, what? So we end up taking like the rest of our lunchtime to go out to that field and just like talk. And she starts telling me her whole story, y'all. And she like comes from such a sad background. It's one of those cases where her parents didn't make it. She came from a split home. Her mom was doing bad things. Her dad was doing bad things. She ended up in the system, and she had been bounced around from foster home to foster home. And right now, the foster home that she was in, she actually did not mind too much. Like, it wasn't perfect, but it was the best she'd had, and she was trying to like stick it out. She was like, so apparently she used to have truancy problems because she didn't want to go to school because she had it hard at home. Her current foster mom told her, like, you got to go to school every day, because if not, they will take you away from me and place you with another family. So if you like it here and you want to stay here, well, then you better do your shit, right? So she starts telling me this, you know, while we're chilling, and she was like, dude, like, I have to come here, but honestly, I fucking hate it, and I'm always fighting. And I'm sitting there looking at her, y'all, like, she is just so soft-spoken. She is, like, not mousy, she's just soft-spoken. And I could not even fathom why anybody would have an issue with this girl. Like, she did not give me any bitchy vibes at all. So I'm, like, looking at her, and I'm like, well, if they have an issue, like, that's their problem, because I think that you're a really nice person. And I just felt so bad for her. I ended up in a computer class, and Samantha did not have this class with me. So I'm there. This is probably within my second week being at the school. And all of a sudden, this guy comes up to me, and he sits next to me, and he was, you know, an acquaintance. I had a few classes with him, so he knew me well enough to be like, hey, what's up, Nikki? So he comes and sits down, and I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? And he was like, so you and, like, Samantha are, like, best friends now, huh? I look over at him, and I'm like, what? Like, I mean, I guess, you know. As I'm answering him, I noticed that there are other guys that are privy to our conversation. Like, it is so apparent that they're like, yeah, y'all are best friends now. And so I was like, I mean, I don't know her that well, but like, yeah, she's my friend. Why? And he was like, oh, he just sat back. He was like, I don't know. Like, I haven't known Samantha to have friends in a while. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, I don't know what you mean. So I took this moment, you know, at this point, I'm like gaining my confidence here in this school. Like, I'm starting to get comfortable. Y'all need to stop with all that. Like, the way that y'all talk to her and the way that y'all make fun of her is not okay. And that's really fucked up. And like, y'all need to stop. I was like, what's y'all's problem with her anyway? Now look, he was like, we don't have a problem. He was like, we trust. We do not have a problem with Miss Samantha. And I was like, why are you saying it like that? Like, what do you mean? And all the guys are like, nah, like, you know, we ain't got no problem with her. And I was like, all right, well, like, why don't you guys just tell me, just fucking say it. Like, what are you talking about? You know, you're gonna have a problem with most of the girls here, right? And I was like, the girls? I was like, why would I have an issue with the girls? I was like, I ain't got no issue with no girls. And he was like, not yet. He was like, but you about to, because I heard one of them talking about you. Wait a minute, hold on now. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I'm like, going back and forth with him, and I'm trying to get more info out of him, and he's keeping everything very vague, and I can't fucking stand that. Like, if you have something to say, just say it. And so I'm going back and forth with him, trying to pull more information out, and all of a sudden, this bitch that's like across from me, like, she, you know, our computers are like back to back, you know, she's sitting at that other computer, and she stands up, and she was like, because that bitch Samantha be stealing other people's dudes. That's why. She's a fucking hoe. Oh, okay. Okay, first of all, you ain't gotta come at me like that because I don't even know about this situation. Y'all, that just like rubbed me the wrong way. So I'm looking at her and I was like, well, obviously y'all don't fucking know her. I was like, because if y'all would have just taken the chance to get to know her, like you would know that she's actually a really good person. And like I'm going at this girl pretty hard because I'm like, you don't fucking know her story. Like you don't know her life. Like you don't know why she is the way she is. Like fuck you for like all y'all for bullying her and like talking shit about her. Like she ain't never done shit to y'all. And like that was her excuse. She was like, nah, she has though. Like she's been taking other people's dudes, and like, you know, if anybody says that they're dating, like the first person she talks to is their mans. And I was like, this did not seem like Samantha at all. Like at all. The entire time that I had been friends with her, I hadn't even seen her even talk about a dude. Like that was not her concern, right? So I'm just shaking my head and I'm like, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Like just stop it. And I was like, don't ask me about Samantha no more. Like I don't want to be a part of this. I finished my class. Everything's all good. Fast forward to lunch. I see Samantha. And of course, you know, I'm going to talk to her about it because I was just confronted by all of these people in my computer class about her. I talked to her at lunch and I was like, yo, this happened in computer class. I broke everything down. I was like, you know, and they were saying this fucking stupid shit. Like, you do this and you do that. And, you know, they're just fucking tripping and like, they just be hating on you and, you know, this and that, right? And she sat there and she listened to me the whole spiel and she stopped eating her food. She waited for me to finish and she was like, well, she's like, Nikki, it's not entirely a lie though. And I was like, well, like what part isn't a lie? And she was like, yeah, like I've been with their dudes before. And I was like, what? Like, wait a minute, what? And I was like, knowingly? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, bitch, say what? Even little bitty baby middle school Nikki was very, very keen on loyalty, okay? Like, if you said that was your man's and that's your girlfriend, like, you better mean that shit. And if you don't, like, don't play with me. Don't make me look stupid. So I did not like the thought of my really good friend, the only friend that I had really, like, known in this damn school, being known for stealing other girls' men's, like other girls' boys, should I say. Samantha, you're lying. You are lying to me. And she was like, no. She was like, you know, if it happens, it happens. And I was like, what do you mean? I start like questioning her and I'm like, what do you mean? Like there obviously has to be a reason, right? Like you're not just like doing this just cause. And she was like, if it happens, it happens. And I was like, what do you mean by that, right? So she was like, I don't want to talk about this shit in here. And I was like, okay, well then let's go outside because I need to fucking know, like, you know, what the fuck is going on? Because now I'm having issues with other girls because I'm friends with you and I don't even know what's happening. So can you just like explain it? She was like, yeah, let's go outside. So we throw our food away. We head outside. She takes me to the fucking furthest corner of the field as though this is like the biggest CIA secret, okay? She takes me over there and she starts having this conversation with me and she was like, you know, what they're saying is true. I have done that. I've been known to do that. And like, it's just something that happens. And I was like, it happens. And she goes, yeah, it happens. And I was like, how does it happen though? And she goes, they always start talking to me first. And I was like, okay. I was like, but then what do you do? And she was like, that's not my boyfriend. She was like, I don't know about their relationships. Like, honestly, I don't care. She was like, they're mad that I don't care. And so, you know, whatever, like if their boyfriends are coming to me, well, whatever. We're like 13, 14 years old at this time. And this girl is telling me that, you know, and so she starts breaking it down. It definitely has gotten there with other girls' boyfriends. And like she does that. And she definitely she did not have her V card at all. She told me she did not. Then girl, she starts telling me the reason behind why she does what she does. And she was like, I sometimes can't help it. And I thought that this was a bunch of fucking bullshit. And I was like, yes, you can. Just like, don't mess with other girls' boyfriends. Like if they have a girlfriend, like don't be disrespectful, you know, like this is why they have an issue with you. Samantha, why would you do that? So she starts telling me that one of the biggest reasons why she got taken away from her parents is because her dad used to do terrible, terrible things to her. And like things that fathers should never ever do to anybody, not just their daughters, but anybody. Like men should not be doing this. And she experienced a loss of her innocence at a very young age, and it progressed as she got older until her dad was put in prison and her mom went off and was like doing her bad shit, and she was left without parents and in the foster system. So fucking sad, you guys. And I'm like, literally with tears in my eyes, and she was like, I like the attention, I like being told that I'm beautiful. When they show me attention, I'm not going to tell them no. I don't care about their girlfriends, I don't care who they're with, who they might be with, I don't even ask. You know, we do whatever we do, and then I come back to school and all of a sudden these bitches want to fight me. Y'all, I'm like bawling by the time it's time for us to go back into school, because her story was just so sad. Not many people understand what that does to a child, what that does to a person when that happens, you know. And at this point, I had already been essayed as well, like as a child. So I knew. And there are two main ways. Like, everybody has their own way of coping, but the two main ways is either you run toward it, like you run toward, you know, sexuality, and you run towards, you know, that feeling, and like just all of a sudden it awakens something in you that's very womanly, and like you run towards that. Or the other route is you completely run away from it, and you don't want to be noticed, and you don't want to have that type of interaction, and you're scared of it. And that was the route that I took. I was petrified of anything in relation to sex, anything. And she ran toward it because it made her feel normal, and it made her feel loved, and it made her feel accepted, and all of these things. So I understood her, and I felt for her so much, right? And on this day, she had on like a little jean mini skirt, and you'll understand why I remember this so vividly in just a second. And then she had on like, I don't know, I don't remember the type of blouse, but I remember her wearing this cute denim mini skirt. Time to go back into the school. And, you know, as we get closer to the entrance of the school, you know, more and more kids were like kind of funneling in. So everyone's close together. And Samantha ended up in front of me. So we get inside the school, and we had our next class like on the second floor. So we had to go up the sets of stairs to get to our next class. So Samantha takes off up the stairs, and I'm right behind her. And then there are like a few girls and some guys that are next to me and behind me. So we're all going up the stairs. I'm still, you know, kind of talking to Samantha, but there's just so many kids. We're just trying to get up the stairs. I tend to like kind of look at the person's feet in front of me as they're going up the stairs if I'm behind them. And that's kind of where I keep my eyes. I don't know why. So like, I'm like, you know, walking up the stairs. I have my backpack, and you know. And we get up the first flight of stairs, and all of a sudden I hear the dudes around me and behind me, and they're like, hey bro, look, we get a free show. Look, there's a free show. I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? So, you know, I'm like looking at them. I'm like, what the fuck? And they're all staring upward. What the fuck are y'all looking at? And I look up, and I'm like, y'all, as we're going up the second flight of stairs, bitch, Samantha is right in front of me. And every single step that she's taken, I can see more and more up her skirt. And this little girl didn't have no panties on at all. You could see everything. Everything. And when I tell you, every single one of these boys was just looking. And it was very much out there. It was very much getting some breeze and some air. I had never seen anything like that before. So I'm just like stunned, and I'm like, what the fuck? And so like, y'all, every single step she's taken, it's just like front and center. And I'm like, you could hear it. It's audible that they're making fun of her. And like, it was not fazing her at all. It's like she knew that they were talking about her. She's so used to it. So she keeps walking, and I'm like right beside her, and we're going to our next class. We had gotten to our class pretty early. Nobody else was really in there. We had just set down our stuff. This was usual for us. And so I looked at her. I was like, do you want to come to the bathroom with me? And she was like, yeah. So we left our stuff in our classroom, and the bathroom was literally like right there. And I just wanted to like talk to her. Like, I don't know if she like knew. I don't know what I thought. I was like, did you fucking forget? Like, you ain't got no panties. We go in the bathroom, and you know, she does her thing, I do mine. We come out to the sinks, and I'm standing next to her, and I was like, hey, so on the stairs, I was like, when you were in front of me, I was like, I could see all your chonch. I didn't know how to say it. I really did it, but I was like, I could see all your punani. Like, I could see all of it. It was saying cheese. Like, what the fuck, you know? Unfazed. And she was like, I mean, yeah, because I don't really like wearing panties. Then I was like, why? And she was like, I don't know, because they pinch and they hurt and they like panty lines and stuff. And she was like, I don't really fucking like it. So she was like, no matter what, I go commando. And I was like, but they could see your shit though. And she was like, who? They? And I was like, yeah, dude, like all of the dudes that were coming up behind me on the stairs, they could all see your shit. And like they were all like talking about it. Oh, she was like, half of them already know, like whatever. And I was like, Samantha, her approach and like the way that she was responding to all of this, like nothing I had ever seen before, ever. Usually girls were scared to be called a hoe, but Samantha, she was like, okay, and like she was like, what the fuck ever, Nikki, like I don't care. And I was like, oh my God, we're having this conversation and all of a sudden this girl comes out of the stall. And like she's just talking a gang of shit. And she was like, of course you don't care, you stupid hoe. Like this, girl, like this. It was like, I didn't even pay attention to anybody else in the bathroom. It was like we were having our own fucking conversation. And all of a sudden this bitch chimes in and she was like, of course you don't, you fucking hoe. Like my man was just on them stairs and he just told me at my locker that he saw your fucking vagina, bitch. And like... She was like, he saw your fucking coochie, bitch. And like Samantha, like the same energy she was giving me, she like gave her. She was like, okay, and y'all, just her saying that and being so calm, it set that other girl off, right? All of a sudden, the other girls that were in the bathroom, there was like 2 or 3 other ones, they were on her fucking side, on the other girl's side, and they were like, no, they were like, that's fucked up, Samantha. They were like, you know, you need to fucking wear panties, bitch. Like, so I'm going like this between Samantha and between them. And I'm like, oh shit. And Samantha is just so unbothered and so unfazed. And she was like, and if I don't? She was like, if I don't want to, I don't want to. This girl starts reading Samantha for filth. And she was like, we all know that you do that shit on purpose because you're fucking lonely, bitch, and nobody wants to be around you. That's why nobody fucking likes you, because you're the definition of a fucking hoe, and like you just come in here and show all the dudes all your goodies on purpose. And then you sleep with other girls' boyfriends and shit. Like you're a fucking hoe. Samantha's firing back very calm, and she was like, hey, if y'all's boyfriends talk to me, that's not my problem. I'm just here going to school. And like all of them girls are coming after Samantha, and they're like, no, bitch, like this is your fucking fault. And like you run around here and you do all that shit, and like we've told, that girl had like told the principal and the counselor on Samantha, and she was like, and then they don't do anything about it. And I guess the school counselor had been talking to Samantha about this issue like last year and knew her situation and knew she was in foster care and stuff and was like trying to work with her. So these girls were fucking livid that Samantha wasn't getting any consequences for like showing her shit at school. Y'all, I was so conflicted. Like I understood where these girls were coming from because they were like, yo, like you were doing this shit on purpose. And I knew that Samantha was doing it on purpose because she admitted it to me. Like she just doesn't like wearing panties. She knows that that's what happens. Like she's numb to it. That's just what she does. And these girls were pissed because they felt like, you know, their boyfriend. It was mostly about their boyfriends. It wasn't about decency. It wasn't about respect or anything like that. It was just about their boyfriends wanting to get with Samantha because Samantha was quote unquote easy. So they're arguing and they're going back and forth, and what I was thinking was coming out of my mouth. And I was like, y'all don't know what she's been through. And I don't know why the fuck I said that, but I did. And all of a sudden, that girl that was yelling at Samantha, she looked over at me and she was like, oh, I know what the fuck she's been through. She's been through all the dudes here at this school like a fucking train. Then this bitch proceeds to look at me and say, so I see that you're her newest recruit. What, you're gonna fuck our boyfriends too? Ma'am, wait a minute, bitch. I was like, hold up. I'm immediately defensive. And I'm like, who the fuck you talking to? I was like, don't fucking talk to me like you know me, because I'm brand new here. I was like, and I'll fuck your shit up. I was so, oh girl, I was so pissed. Because I hated, I'm already new here. I don't give a fuck about any of y'all. I don't know any of y'all like that. Like, do not fucking involve me in this mess right here, you ain't gotta talk shit to me like that. Who have you seen me with, bitch? I was like, just because y'all's boyfriends don't know how to stay loyal to y'all for whatever the fuck reason does not give you the right to be talking to me or her like that. I was like, so y'all can back the fuck up and go talk to y'all's nasty ass boyfriends. I was like, because I saw each and every one of them looking at her. So how is that her problem? All of a sudden, bitch, I blink and I'm in the middle of this fight too. And like, we're all yelling at each other. And my main point was like, yes, I know that she's in the wrong, and I know that she does shit like this, and I know. But also, I know that this isn't 100% her fault. It's also the fault of the dudes. Like, why are y'all over here, like, just talking shit to where I genuinely believe that had I not been there, Samantha was about to get jumped by all these girls. And, like, I had no doubt, because that girl that was fighting with Samantha in the first place, the one that came out of the stalls, she starts like walking up to Samantha and she was like, gonna stop fucking doing that shit, and you gonna stop going after, you know, our dudes or whatever. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Like, we could fucking fight. I don't know who hit who first. I just saw swinging, and I just saw hair, and I saw hair pulling, and I saw kicking, and that girl like was trying to push Samantha into the corner, and Samantha was like kicking and like trying to push her away from her so she wouldn't get stuck in the corner. And they're going back and forth, and I mean, like, hitting the fucking sinks, hitting the stalls, like just chaos, right? And I back up. I'm like up against the sink, and I'm like, oh shit, because it literally just happened out of nowhere. Like I said, I don't know who started it. I don't know who threw the first punch. It happened so fucking fast. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh fuck. Samantha was not a small girl. She was not like, she wasn't skinny. She was thickums, okay? And that girl, she could fight. And that girl that was hitting her, that was like fighting with her, kept going after her hair. Samantha had real long, pretty hair. And that girl kept pulling at her hair. Meanwhile, Samantha's doing nothing but fucking throwing blows. And so she is getting some good hits on this girl. And all of a sudden, that girl's back hits the floor. And Samantha is literally standing over her. Boom, boom, boom. Like in the face. That girl's putting her hands up, putting her feet up, and Samantha's coming around and like really aiming for her face. And I'm like, oh shit, you know, I see Samantha on top of her, and I'm like, all right, like she's had enough. Of fucking course, this other girl that was standing right next to me, out of nowhere, she goes and she grabs Samantha by the back of her hair, like right at her scalp, like, I mean, like hand to scalp type of shit, and like pulls her back. But she doesn't throw her, bitch. She pulls her back and gets her right next to her face and was like, you are nothing but a fucking hoe. Had Samantha's head like this, like a fucking animal. Like, she just, girl, that set my heart on fire. I was like, hold up, I know you are not. Boom, I steal her right off on the side of her face. And I was like, don't fucking do it. And that other girl was like, bitch, I know you ain't trying to jump in. So she starts swinging off on me. I'm like fighting this other girl. That other girl that I hit is on the ground, and Samantha is trying to handle those two while I'm handling this one. And so we're all over the place, okay? We're literally in a case of being jumped right now, Samantha and I, because they were definitely outnumbering us. Y'all, all of a sudden, this girl was like, teacher's coming. And everybody just stopped. Jump up, like all of our hair is messed up, like our whatever little makeup we had on, like our shirts are all fucked up. Just like breathing all hard and just looking at each other. Nobody had any blood drawn, okay? So that's how you know it was a lot of fucking hair pulling and a lot of slapping. But like our faces were red, like, you know, we had different like little welt marks all over us, and like we're trying to like straighten out our clothes, and we're just looking at each other. And sure enough, within like 10 seconds, there is a fucking teacher walking into the bathroom. She walks in and she looks at us. She was like, ladies. And we're like, fuck you. Do we have a problem in here? And we're like, no, ma'am. No, we do not. Especially with you. And she pointed out the girl that was like fighting with Samantha in the first place. I guess she had been known to like start shit in the school. And she was like, because you already know that you're on thin ice and it's the beginning of the year. She kicks all of us out of the bathroom. We go back to our class, Samantha and I. Those girls like go down the hall, and the whole time they're like, fuck you, stupid bitch. And like, we're, you know, we're like, you know, still talking shit. We're like, beat your ass, bitch. And like, I'll see both of y'all after school, bitch. I'll see both of y'all after school. I was like bringing it, like my adrenaline's still way up here, and I'm like, nah, like I ain't fucking scared, like whatever. The minute that we got to our seats, the bell rings, and we made it to class on time, and we're sitting there, y'all, and we just keep looking over at each other during class, and like I can't even believe what happened. Like I had not been in a fight in a while since I had been home. The rest of the day goes on, and all of a sudden, you know, after school comes around, and I head to the front of the school. That's where I have to meet up with Rachel. So I head to the front of the school to meet up with Rachel, and Samantha is right next to me, and she used to walk home. So she came to the front of the school, and the whole way up there, we're talking about what just happened in the bathroom, you know? And she was like, are you good? Like, you know, you didn't have to jump in. And I was like, bitch, whatever. I was like, you know, she can't just be grabbing on you like that. Like, I hate girls that jump other girls, you know? And she was like, look, you know, she was like, honestly, they're never gonna like me. Like, this is just gonna be a problem, you know, no matter what. So we get to the front of the school, and we stop like right in front of the steps out front. And that's where I usually met up with Rachel. And so we keep talking or whatever. And then out of nowhere, I hear the screech of that girl's voice, the one from the bathroom. And she was like, there those bitches are. There they are. Like, wow, I'm surprised y'all weren't too chicken shit to like run off. She comes down the stairs on that bullshit. And she's like, all right, like, who wants it first? Like, fuck both of y'all. Like, we about to fucking settle this right now. She starts talking hella loud to like get everybody's attention. So, you know, of course, the dudes, messiest ones, they're like, oh shit, like y'all about to fight, who's fighting? So everybody starts crowding around, and Samantha and I are like, oh fuck, right? So it's her and her little friends. She had like 2 or 3 little friends, and they're behind her like a little posse. And she comes up and she was like, so what's up? Like, tired of hearing about you sleeping with all these girls' boyfriends, including mine, bitch. We about to settle this today, so like, who wants it first? And you know, I'm looking at her and I was like, what you mean first? I was like, you know, you and your homegirls like to jump. And she was like, wasn't nobody fucking talking to you. And I was like, I'm talking to you, bitch. And she was telling me like, stay in your place, like I don't even fucking know you, like you're new here or whatever. And I was like, I don't give a fuck, like I'll talk my shit. So I'm talking shit, and all of a sudden I feel a hand on my shoulder. I look behind me, and for a split second, bitch, I forgot that I even had to meet up with her. Like I was so consumed with this entire situation. So I look over and I'm like shocked to see her, and I'm like, oh, Rachel. I was like, hey girl. She was like, what's going on? That girl answers, like before I could even answer, she was like, oh, we about to fight because her and her hoe ass friend think that they can have any dude that they want here, and like I'm just tired of their bullshit. First of all, this is my cousin right here, and you're not about to do shit to her. She was like, second of all, she hasn't even been here that long, so I know she doesn't want your stupid fucking boyfriend. Tell me why. Rachel steps forward, and she was like, because you like to get mad at everyone else besides your funky ass boyfriend. She was like, who, by the way, gave me his number last week. So what, you want to fight me too? Keep in mind, Rachel, gorgeous. I mean, like, just fucking like drop dead gorgeous type of level, okay? Like even that young, she was so pretty. Like there's no other way to describe her. Like all the dudes are like, oh shit, he gave you his number? Rachel takes off her backpack, swings it around, she opens up a pocket, she goes, here's your dusty ass boyfriend's number. She was like, you don't believe me? There it is that his number or not? And that girl picked up the piece of paper off of the floor, unfolds it, she looks at it, and she goes, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, let's go. Like, let's go. I don't even know. Like, I don't even fucking know. I'm so tired. She walks away with her funky little friends, and Rachel's just sitting there like... So we say bye to Samantha. We take off walking, and the whole way I tell Rachel what happened. I get to the end of it, and she looks at me and she was like, didn't I tell you to keep your fucking head down? She was like, didn't I tell you to mind your business? And I was like, I was trying to mind my business. Finally, her mom comes and picks us up, and Rachel had a really close relationship with her mom. Like everything that she was doing, like all of her boyfriends or whatever, she told her mom, and her mom was like a pretty chill mom. She ends up fucking telling all my motherfucking business to her mom, and she was like, yeah mom, like I just came outside, and like, you know, Nikki was arguing with these girls, and you remember those girls I was telling you about? And like she told her the whole thing, and her mom was like, Nikki, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I was like, I'm fine. I was like, I just, you know, I didn't mean to start anything, but like that was my friend. And I told them, I was like, my friend Samantha has been through a lot, and like some scary things have happened to her. So she does act out and she does do these things, but like I just didn't think that she deserved that or whatever. Girl, long story short, you know, we get back to their place. My mom comes home from work and my mom hears about what happened at the school, and she was like, nah, fuck that. Apparently we were going to be moving into another townhome anyway really soon, so she was like, you're moving schools anyway, like don't even worry about it. Literally within the next week I was transferring schools to my other middle school, where my fight happened at the park where that girl tried to jump me with all of her friends. By that point, like by the end of 8th grade, I was like, every girl here in Colorado likes to jump bitches, because that's all I had experienced up until this point. And so yeah, my mom ended up moving me out of that school within like the first month. I want to say I was there for like 2-3 weeks. But anyways, y'all, that is my story for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give that like button a little love, and of course double, triple, quadruple check that you are subscribed to my channel so you don't miss out on any new videos. Here are my socials for some more Nikki in your life. We have a lot of fun over on my Instagram especially. I will be doing some giveaways over there on Instagram and Twitter, so definitely give your girl a follow. And yeah, thank you guys so much for coming to chill with me. I love y'all so much, and I will see your fine ass in my next video. Peace out, y'all.